Welcome to episode number 169 of The Voice Behind the Voice. I'm Sean Aronson, the TV and radio broadcaster for the St. Paul Saints, an independent minor league baseball team in the Twin Cities. Well, I come to you 1 week from the end of the season. That's it. One more week left in the regular season, and things have gotten quite interesting since the last time I recorded an open. The Saints went on a 9-game winning streak. They are currently in the midst of 11 wins in their last 12 games. They sit 2.5 games out of the division lead and 4 up on a playoff spot with 8 games left. And the team that is chasing them is the team that they are currently playing. Won the first 2 games of the series. They have 2 more in this series against them, and they close the season with 3 games in Chicago against that team that they are chasing. So as of right now, the Saints are in the driver's seat to make the playoffs for the 4th time in 5 years. But you'll know a lot more on, well, I guess the next week's will have to be recorded on Friday before we leave for the road trip because we're gone Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So by then, I may know whether the Saints are in the playoffs or not, or how much work they have left to be done. But that's the exciting news. That's where we're at right now. Things are getting to the end and trying to make a push for the playoffs. You know, I've talked a lot about the number of people that you run into that listen to this podcast. It's always odd. You know, I travel around and you go to these other ballparks, and a lot of people within the press boxes will stop you and say, hey, listen to the podcast, enjoy the podcast, you know, keep doing the podcast, whatever it is. And it's always humbling and surprising. I got an email this week that came out of nowhere. I mean, came out of nowhere. And it basically started off with this person introducing themselves and saying, I don't know if you remember me, but a while ago, probably like 6 years ago, this person and I, maybe longer than that, this person and I matched on some dating site. They had heard me on the largest sports station in the area, on KFan, doing a little promo. And I don't know how they went from there to my podcast, but started listening to the podcast and wanted to say that they listen now, that they love the podcast, that the most recent episode of Yardley Smith that this person really enjoyed, and that she went back and started listening to the beginning and has listened to a number of different episodes since then. I don't know how to explain that. It's odd. It was out of the blue. It was very flattering. Don't get me wrong. It was very, very sweet of this person to reach out and say this to me. But the point is, you just never know. You never know who's listening to these. You never know who's out there because you don't hear from everybody. But I've received a number of emails. This is probably the most surprising of all. And again, I get stopped occasionally from people that just want to say that they enjoy it. So it's very nice. And if you ever want to send an email or a message or whatever, I'm always more than willing to get those and respond in kind as well. So with that little nugget, that little story for you. It is episode number 169 with Dewayne Staats of the Tampa Bay Rays. This is a guy that, if you don't know this guy, if you don't know Dewayne Staats, he has been around for a long time. He's done over 6,000 Major League Baseball games, and he's worked for ESPN. He's worked for a number of different Major League teams, including the Yankees, and currently with the Rays, in which I believe he's been his longest tenure with any team, and he's been there for quite a while. He called Nolan Ryan's 5th no-hitter. He called Jim Abbott's no-hitter. This guy has been around and seen a lot and is well respected in the broadcasting world. And met him at the hotel that the team was staying at, and he was so generous and has a number of great stories, including a Harry Caray story. I told you, this guy's been around a while, but you wouldn't know it by looking at him. He still looks pretty young, but just a fantastic guy with some great stories that you'll love as you listen to this episode. If you have not subscribed to the podcast, you can do so. iTunes, wherever you get your podcasts, be sure to rate us. And then you can follow us on social media, Twitter at The Voice BTV, Facebook, facebook.com/The Voice BTV. And you can always email me, whoever you are, wherever you are, thevoicebtv@gmail.com. All right, let's get to it. Episode number 169 with Dewayne Staats of the Tampa Bay Rays. JW, I love the emails that you send me. Roll the open.
Well, I think when he was traded over, I picked him up at the airport in Tampa. And we're driving across the causeway, and I said, look, you do what you have to do with your job, I'll do what I have to do with mine. I really think, I think I got the better end of that because I think I undersold him because he was my son-in-law.